For we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the striking fact that most of the scientists that the world has ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower is doubling every 12 years in a rate of growth more than 3 times that of our population as a whole, despite that, the vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space. Those who came before us made certain that this country rode the first waves of the Industrial Revolution, the first waves of modern invention, and the first wave of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. Our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men, and to become the world's leading spacefaring nation. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
Countdown still going well. T-minus 55 minutes, 10 seconds and counting.
Even though I realize that this is, in some measure, an act of faith and vision, for we do not now know what benefits await us. But if I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston.
Control, we passed the 6-minute mark in our countdown for Apollo 11, the flight to land of the first men on the moon.
A giant rocket, more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field.
Coming up shortly, that swing arm up at the spacecraft level will come back to its fully retracted position. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented.
4 minutes and counting, we are go for Apollo 11.
Capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced.
The vehicle starting to pressurize as far as the propellant tanks are concerned.
fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch,
All is still go as we monitor our status for it.
carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival.
Coming in now, we're on an automatic sequence as the master computer supervises hundreds of events occurring over these last few minutes.
On an untried mission
2 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting.
to an unknown celestial body,
Oxidizer tanks in the second and third stages now have pressurized.
and then return it safely to Earth,
T-minus 1 minute, 35 seconds.
re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour,
And all is still go.
causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun,
We passed T-minus 60.
and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
Neil Armstrong reported back when he received the good wishes. Thank you very much. We know it will be a good flight.
Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there. Well, space is there, and we're going to climb it. And the moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked.
40 seconds away from the Apollo 11 liftoff. All the second stage tanks now pressurized. 35 seconds and counting. We are still go with Apollo 11. 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5.
God of all space, who has set the stars in their courses, God of the light years, infinite beyond infinity, who dost also give meaning to our brief years, to thee we turn for thy benediction. We give thee thanks, O God, for the rights with which thou hast endowed us, for the freedoms which Americans have secured and cherished and shared, for the love of truth and the dreams of adventure which propel pioneers out into space. May thy blessing rest upon us all. Bless us in our homes, in our schools, in our laboratories, our farms, our factories, our space capsules. Prosper us in our cities and our states. Make our country a worthy leader of the free world, and grant the blessings of peace to all mankind. Amen.